Hey everyone! So I have another review for you which you have been asking for, and that is for the new Laneige Pore Control Cushion. Now this is the one that has the 8 shades in Korea and the 12 shades in the USA. They have a pore control and they have a whitening. I ended up going for the pore control because it is summer here in Korea and it does get a little oily in my T-zone now that it's summer and I'm now combination. So the shade I picked up is the new 11C. So if you're familiar with Korean cushion foundations, you'll know typically it's either just 21 and 23, or you can find them in 13 ho, 21 ho, or 23 ho. The shade range itself is not very wide and it usually goes more towards the paler side, which is one of the reasons why having the 8 shades of this is really great. So the one in Korea that comes with 8 particular shades comes with 4 shades that are cool based and 4 shades that are neutral tone based. So I got 11C, the C stands for cool. So some things we're going to look for in the wear test today. One is if it's really going to be a pore control cushion. Number 2, we're going to test to see how high the coverage is. A lot of people were saying it was medium coverage, but I've been wearing it. I don't really know if I agree with that, which you'll see when you guys go and watch the wear test. Another thing we're going to look at is the color. Is this really actually pale? A lot of times in Korea, sometimes things say they're 13, but they really look dark on me, which is why I typically go for the Innisfree cushions that are 13 ho, because the 13 cushions in Innisfree really are light. So we'll see how light this 11C cushion is. We're also going to see if this is going to be long lasting. This is meant as a summer cushion, so we'll see exactly how good for summer this might be. Now I have worn this out and about for a few days, so keep tuned till the end. I'll talk about some of the things I've noticed over a longer period of time. But since you guys are here to really just see the review of this, let's go straight into the wear test so you guys can see the wear test and then get my full opinion. So my first layer is done and I can say this is definitely a low coverage foundation. It's not really covering up the redness on my cheeks. It's done a good job of evening out my skin tone, but the reports that it is a medium coverage cushion, I would say right now, is not correct. So I'm going to try to do another layer and see if this is a cushion you can at least build up. So you can build it up a little bit. I would still say that it is more of a light coverage cushion. I have a really small white head right here and I can still see the redness. It didn't really cover up any of the dark circles I have. I can still see the redness here in my cheek. I can still see redness right here in my cheek. Normally I feel like my other cushion foundations tend to cover that up a bit better, so I would say this is a light coverage foundation. I'm going to finish up my makeup and then I'll come back and I'll let you guys know how it's sitting on my skin, and then we'll finish the wear test. Okay, so my makeup is done for today, and putting the makeup on, it worked really well. It seemed the powders blended well and the foundation didn't move around at all. I can say right now my initial impression is it seems pretty good. I wasn't too crazy about the fact that it was low coverage, but honestly it still looks really nice on the skin right now, so I have hope. I have high hopes. So I'm gonna head to work now and I will see you guys when I get off work. Alright, so right now it is about 6:15, 6:30 p.m. I put this on at about 7:30 a.m. this morning, so it has been a really good chunk of time, almost 12 hours. So I have some pros and cons I can quickly say to you guys. I did notice a little bit of creasing here in my smile lines. It's not incredibly bad at all by any means, and you can pat it out, but it is there. Another thing I noticed that I really wasn't happy with is when you sweat, you end up having little raised bumps wherever you tended to sweat. So for me, it was mostly here on my chin that I noticed it, that it just kind of seems to look like little raised bumps. You can pat it out, but obviously it is a little bit annoying It did hold my contour really well. I lost the blush on my cheeks, which is okay because blush tends to be the first thing to go, and I didn't set my foundation with a spray or anything like that. It held my contour really well as the bronzing I did on my forehead this morning. That's all held up. Do I think that it really helped with the sebum production? Not a whole ton, but a little. My forehead definitely does not look as shiny as it typically does when I come back from a day out in Korea, especially with humid weather. It wasn't really humid today, but it was humid on my walk home. I've had a little time to cool down, so that may have taken away a little bit of the shininess. So overall impressions for you guys, I'm gonna start with the cons. Con number one is the coverage. It's really, really, really light coverage, and you can build it up a little, but it's still, like, I feel like you would have to do 3 layers to get something that's more medium coverage. Another con is the raised bumps whenever you sweat. That's something to be really, really cautious about. I have also worn this for a few days. Today was my wear test with you guys, but I did wear this out for a few days. And some things I did notice is when I wear it for a few days in a row, I do end up getting really, really tiny pimples. They're not whiteheads or anything, but they are still there, and they go away when I stop wearing this. Another thing I noticed on a few of my days is my skin started to feel tight. It didn't patch into any dry patches, it didn't dry my skin out, but my skin just felt kind of tight and dry. I would advise, if you're going to wear this out, to use a face spray whenever your face starts to feel a little tight. I didn't have that issue today, and I'm wondering if the primer I used had something to do with that. That the primer on this side is a primer that is not anti-sebum, and so it kind of allows that oil to still be there. It could be that a problem was if I used an oil, like if I used an anti-sebum primer and then put this on top, and this is supposed to be pore control, that it was just a little too much oil control. Some pros that I really like. I like the fact that in Korea there are 8 shades available, and in the States there are 12 shades available. I also really like the fact that this is as light as it is. So if you saw me from the very, very beginning of the wear test, you'll see that it was really, really pale. Now, obviously, I would not suggest using this pore control in the winter, which was when I'm typically that pale. So I might end up eventually picking up their whitening one and wearing that one in the winter. I do believe that one is more moisturizing than this because this one's supposed to help control sebum. I love the fact that it is that pale because up until now, the palest foundation I could find in Korea was either a Revlon one, which is really overpriced here, or the Innisfree Ample Cushion in 13.0, which has always been really, really great on my skin. And this 11C was even paler than that. I'm amazed with how beautifully pale it is. It's paler than the Maybelline 1110, I would say. So that was definitely a pro for me. I have a hard time finding foundations that work really, really well in the winter when it's more dry, and I would say that the whitening version of this in 11C would work fantastic for how pale I get, or anyone who feels that they're paler than me. This is gonna work great for you. Another pro is how long lasting it is. As you guys can see, it hasn't really worn off here. It hasn't really worn off on my nose. It's a little bit gone here on the sides of my nose, but for the most part on my forehead and on my cheeks and on my chin, etc., it is still there and it still looks great. I didn't have to touch up my face throughout the day at all. I didn't have to touch up my contour throughout the day at all. Those are all really big pros. Overall, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. Obviously, I'm going to subtract a little bit for the fact that when you sweat, it bubbles up just a little bit, but I do think this is a nice foundation. This is obviously going to be better for someone who doesn't have a lot of redness or acne or something that they feel they need to cover up, and this is going to suit oily skin better. I feel like if you don't become normal to combination skin in the summer, if you stay more dry skin, this is going to dry your skin out. You might want to try the other version, which is the whitening version. So that's all I have for you guys today. If you haven't checked out my Instagram yet, I highly suggest that you do, which I say in every video. Like I said before, when I was in college, I also did photography and was a photographer. I took some fashion shoots, etc. So I really love going out and taking photographs here in Korea. It's a much better way to be able to see how I live my life in Korea than just watching the videos. The videos is just me talking to you guys, but when you look at my Instagram, you really get to see me out and about. If there's any suggestions that you guys would like to see, please leave it in a comment down below. I love to hear from you, and I am going to go eat a donut. See you guys later. Bye. When you're looking at your eyebrow, there's two areas that you want to fill in. The first area starts at your arch and goes to the inside of your eyebrow. The second area is the area right underneath your arch. To get the straight brow, you need to fill both of these in.